Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will discuss how to prepare invitation letter for super visa for parents or grandparents as per IRCC guidelines. If you want to apply for super visa by yourself for your parents or grandparents, you can find a link in description where I have discussed step-by-step process for super visa. Before we go ahead, please do subscribe to my channel so that you guys don't miss any future updates. Before we discuss this invitation letter for Super Visa, I want to mention that this invitation letter is fully tested and it was prepared by one of my friend to sponsor his parents to Canada. So here, before we discuss this invitation letter in detail, I want to show you guys guidelines by IRCC which you should keep in mind while preparing your invitation letter for your parents or grandparents for super visa. So let's go ahead, open your Google browser and search here invitation letter and click on first link here, letter of invitation. So when you prepare your invitation letter, you need to keep all these things in mind when you prepare your invitation letter. So this is very important that you provide all this information when you prepare your invitation letter. Here I want to mention that when you prepare your invitation letter, you should notarize this letter. It is not recommended, but it is always good if you notarize your letter. If you see here, the information in this paragraph here, it belongs to the applicant, means your parents or grandparents. So the person you are inviting to Canada, you need to provide all this information in your invitation letter. For example, name, date of birth, address, your relation to the person, purpose of the trip, how long they want to stay in Canada, where that person will stay, when the person plans to leave Canada. So you need to provide all this information very clearly in your invitation letter. This paragraph here, it belongs to the inviter. So the inviter, in case of super visa, it can be child or grandchild. So here again, you need to provide name, date of birth, address, job title, he is a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, details of family. For super visa, it is mandatory to provide your spouse and dependents information as well inside invitation letter. Total number of people living in your household, including people you sponsored whose sponsorship is still in effect. This is mandatory for super visa. The most important, you need to provide a written and signed promise of your financial support for your parents or grandparents during their stay in Canada. Means that you are taking full responsibility that you will take care of all expenses during their stay in Canada. And then you also need to provide a proof of your income which meets a minimum income cutoff, which I have already discussed in another video for super visa, that how to apply super visa for parents. In this video, I have covered each and every detail if you want to prepare this application by yourself. So let's go back again. So I will include a link in the description where you can download a copy of this invitation letter for your reference. But I want to mention here, don't copy this letter. You can modify as per your requirement, as per your reason. This is a sample for you guys. On the first pages, I have provided all details here in written. On the second page, I have provided here your details and your parents' detail here. Let's go ahead. So here you can see that this invitation letter is addressed to Canadian Embassy Immigration section, and you can provide the date you are preparing this invitation letter. Then you need to provide subject for the invitation letter, and then you can address here, dear visa officer. In the first paragraph here, you can find here information for the inviter here, that inviter a permanent resident or Canadian citizen in Canada, phone number of the inviter. If you are permanent resident, then Indian passport, and then your PR card number. So basically you need to provide here your status in Canada. So in second paragraph here, you need to provide information about your occupation, which company you are working for, what is your designation, what is your annual income, and then for the proof of fund, you can mention that you are providing copies of your T4 and notice of assessment for proof of funds. Going to next paragraph. This paragraph, you need to provide here your parents' information. that I'm writing this letter to support a super visa application for my parents. My father, your father name here, what he's working for, at which company, or if he has own business, whatever applicable to your situation, just mention here. The same thing for your mother, and then you can provide their contact numbers and then their passport numbers as well. Before we go ahead, I want to mention here that you and your spouse together want to sponsor your parents to Canada. You should replace I with we here, that we are writing this letter to support a super visa application for our parents to Canada. So here in this paragraph, along with the you, your spouse should provide their information as well. So let's go ahead. Here in this paragraph, you need to explain the reason of visit to Canada for your parents. So there can be many reasons that you can provide as per your situation in Canada. I have given one example that I want to bring my parents to Canada to help us for our newborn baby for 12 months, that they will stay in Canada from this date to this date. This date you can provide here any tentative date. During their stay in Canada, they will stay with us at our residence, so you can provide here address. So here basically again you can provide your reason that why they want to come to Canada. It can be because of tourism purpose, that they want to explore Canada. So moving forward to the next paragraph here, you need to show that they will return back to their country after their stay. So provide as many as strong ties they have back home. You need to provide here. Here I have mentioned that I undertake that they will return back to their home country before their visa expire. To show their strong ties to India, I have mentioned that my brother and sister both are living in India, so my parents will return to home to be with them. And along with these reasons, you can provide many other reasons, that they have parental property, they have any business back home, any reason to show their strong ties to back home. Let's move forward to the next paragraph here. So one requirement for the super visa is that you need to have upfront medical insurance from a Canadian company, and you need to provide a proof for that. So here I have mentioned that my parents have a medical insurance from a Canadian insurance company which is valid for 1 year from this date, which has a coverage of 100,000 Canadian dollar. One thing more you can mention here, that you can provide your policy number as well. So here in this paragraph, I mentioned that I have provided proofs of my employment, my legal status in Canada, most recent bank statement and tax forms. So similarly, you can prepare your invitation letter as per your condition, as per your situation. Once again, I would mention here that don't try to copy this letter, just try to make your own as per your situation. And in the end, inviter has to put his name and signature and the city of your residence you need to provide here. Once you prepare your invitation letter, it is not required, but it is always recommended to notarize this letter. So let's go to the next page. In this table, you should provide information which belongs to your parents, and in this column, you need to provide information for the inviter. So here in this table here, you need to provide information for your father and mother. For example, date of birth, address, purpose of visit, their contact numbers, what is relationship to you, the time period they will stay in Canada, address they will stay in Canada, how their expenses will be covered, who will be covering their expenses in Canada, the date they will leave Canada. So for the inviter, for the child or grandchild, you need to provide your information, your name, date of birth, address, contact number, email, occupation, your status in Canada, name of the spouse, so your spouse name here, number of dependents you have, number of people living in your household. I will share this word copy of this invitation letter, which you can download from inside description. In case you have any question, you can comment in description box. I will definitely reply there. So finally, please do subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any future update. Thank you very much.